All right, good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. Today we're going to be talking about the college baseball tournament. Wait, I just want to make sure are we actually live? Hold on. Okay, if we weren't live before, we're live now. Today we're going to be talking about the college baseball tournament, which I think has actually already started, probably started about less than an hour ago, I'd say. I'm managing my windows here. Here's the bracket. Yeah, some of the games have already started, as you can see here. We're going to be going through all 64 teams. I have notes on all 64 teams, and I have my thoughts, and I'm going to talk about them. So we're going to start off. Here are my notes. So I have each region, and so just for some background, what I've noticed in the past 2 years of looking at the college baseball tournament, the date numerology and the coach gematria seem to be really important, as well as the team name gematria. For example, let me switch back to this window. So, for example, in 2021, they had Ole Miss Rebels 54, and they won it on 54 date numerology. Jesuit is Well, Jesuits 42. They won their 42nd game of the season. That was also the 177th day of the year. Um, the Jesuit order is 177, and their manager is Mike Bianco, 188. That's the day leaving 188 days left in the year. And then just last year, you had LSU 52. They came into the College World Series finals with 52 wins. Um, They won it on Tigers equals 39, as you see there. They won it on that day last year, which had 39 date numerology. It was exactly 1 year after Ole Miss had won it. Tigers equals 39. Last year was all about Skull and Bones. Jay Johnson, 41. Just like Skull and Bones, 41. Jay Johnson's the LSU manager. Did LSU Tigers equal anything? Maybe not, but LSU equals 52. That connected to the Texas Rangers. Yeah, the College World Series winner always connects to the eventual Big League World Series winner. Texas Rangers 52 is their 52nd season in Arlington. LSU 52. Oh yeah, and then the previous year, Ole Miss, they're the Rebels 61. It was the Astros 61st season when they won it all. Okay, so anyways, now that we've kind of talked about how the how these college baseball tournament games are scripted. I'm going to go through each of the regions and give my thoughts. So just starting off overall, the College World Series is going to end on either June 23rd or 24th, unless there's like a rain out or weather delay of some sorts. This is a leap year, so it's either going to be the 175th or 176th day of the year. That's either the day leaving 191 or 190 days left in the year. These are the date numerologies for each of those 2 days. All right, the number one seed overall is Tennessee, and this is the 77th tournament, just to show you. Switch my window back. 2024 college baseball tournament. There you go. It's the 77th edition right there. Click on it. Yes, 77. Check one thing first. Who are the announcers? I'm actually a little curious. Oh, yeah, they got Roxy and West. I like those guys, Roxy and West. They're pretty good. Who's in here? I don't know who those guys are. Devin Travis. Wow. Yeah, Roxy and West, they're a good combo. Anyways, that's unrelated. Okay, and the reason why I wanted to scroll down here is because last year I saw somewhere that mentioned last year was like not all of the College World Series have been in Omaha or something like that. But I think that's unrelated to the point. Let's get back to the topic. Hold on. Sorry, I'm playing with my windows here and okay. Anyways, back to here. 77th College Baseball Tournament. Number one seed is Tennessee. Tennessee Volunteers does equal 77. That is probably the best thing going for them, I would say. Volunteers does equal 151, which is the 36th prime. The first day of the College World Series championship round will have 36 date numerology. And then, yeah, there is a connection between 77 and 119, both of those being 9/11 numbers. I don't know if 9/11 is really going to be a factor in this tournament because like 9/11 affected the NFL and MLB. It didn't really affect other leagues quite as much. So I wouldn't say that is interesting. Also, last year was the 119th Big League World Series, and Tennessee did make it to Omaha last year. They did make the College World Series. Didn't win it, but they still made it. Um, and yeah, they have 50 wins on the season. So it'll either take 10, 11, or 12 wins for a team to win the College World Series. So again, we don't really know enough about that yet. Nothing really stood out for the rest of these other schools in this region except for these two managers that both equal 24, or both equal 89, which is the 24th prime. Here we are in 2024. Moving on to the next region, it's East Carolina. Only thing that really stood out at East Carolina is that their manager's name equals 54, and the last game of the College World Series will have 54 date numerology. That was the same thing with when Ole Miss won it a couple years ago. That was the case with them. I don't really see anything else that stands out for not Ole Miss, East Carolina. I guess conceivably, if they win 11 games, they'll get to 54 wins. Cliff Godwin 54, and they could get their own 54 date numerology. That is something, but I don't know if that's quite enough. Next is just going through here. Took notes on all of these. Oral Roberts, I don't think they really have numbers this year, but last year, you see Oral Roberts there, Golden Eagles, 52 and 56. Last year, the College World Series was, well, when LSU won it, it was all about 39 and 41, but 52 was also a huge number in the College World Series last year. Wake Forest was the number one seed. They entered with 52 wins. Florida ended up getting their 52nd win of the season against Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts ended the season with Oral Roberts played in the first game of the College World Series last year when they got to Omaha, and they got their 52nd win of the season by a score of 5-6, and they ended the year with 52 wins. I talked about that in my Rangers video that I did a while back. There's a lot to that. Okay, this one here, Florida State. Florida State has a very decent narrative. Florida State equals 77. Florida State Seminoles also equals 241 to the 53rd prime, and I set up here. College baseball, the College World Series could end on 53 date numerology. They have 42 wins on the season. Now, this is a little bit hard to illustrate, but because the college baseball tournament is double elimination, there's a bunch of different options for what a team's record in the tournament could be. It could be you could go 10-0, you could win all your games. You could be 10-1, you could be 10-2, you could be 10-3. There's even a chance that you could go 10-4. You could lose one game in each round, and that's it. If you win 11 games, that means you would have to have lost at least one game at some point. And if you win 12 games, that means you would have had to have lost at least 2 games at some point. But you see that 11 and like last year, I think LSU was 11-2. The year before that, Ole Miss was 10-1. I think last year or the year before that, Mississippi State was 10-2. I'm going to talk about Mississippi State too because when they won it a couple years ago, they had some numbers there. But anyways, back to Florida State. I can find them. Here they are. If they go 11-1, they'll end. That's right. Actually, they'll end up 53-16 on the season, 53 the 16th prime. They would get that 53rd win of the season. Florida State Seminoles winners could be the winners of the 77th College World Series or college baseball tournament, I should say. FSU Seminoles. I don't know if anyone actually calls them that, but I just wrote that down anyways. FSU Seminoles is 37. Could end on 37 date numerology. And also at the beginning of the year, I'm going to switch my... All right, we're going to switch it back to here for a second. At the beginning of the year, former Florida State baseball coach Mike Martin passed away. And he wore number 11 as manager. He died 11 days before his birthday. And from his death date, it was on February 1st of this year until, well, it's interesting that it's 120 days until the start of the college baseball tournament because that's Illuminati equals 120, and Illuminati they have a lot of numbers this year. But until the last day of the College World Series is 144 days. We know Jesuit order 144 right there. You see that? And he died just before his 80th birthday. So Illuminati, maybe it's the Illuminati. Can't remember which one is it. There's a Bavarian Illuminati is 80. That's what it is. So he died just before his 80th birthday. When did he last? Okay, it was 2019 when he last managed. But yeah, 144 days for the potential end of the College World Series. What was his name? Mike Martin? Yeah, Mike Martin, 157. I think we said that 157 is the 37th prime, could end on 37 date numerology. And yeah, FSU Seminoles is 157. What was the 67 connection? I mean, we'll see. We'll see. It is interesting that, well, okay, so June 23rd is the day leaving 191 days left in the year. Society of Jesus is 191. and that would be a span of 144 days after he died. There's something that's something. There's something interesting to that. I feel like his death is not an accident in regards to this College World Series. And I don't think I mentioned this about Florida State, but this is actually so they were founded 76 years ago, which means that this is their 77th season. At least I'm pretty sure that means that because I don't think they ever skipped a season. Yeah, 77 seasons. Yeah, so they've played 77 seasons, and Florida State 77, 77th tournament. That's something to think about. Well, actually, okay. Back to the notes. Okay, we talked about Florida State. In the Fayetteville region, Kansas State, I think they have a riddle to upset and possibly advance out of this regional. Kansas State does equal 77. And Arkansas seems to be a team that is always ranked high and never goes anywhere. They make it to Omaha a couple times, but they never get it done in the end. So Kansas State is a good upset pick in this regional, in my opinion. Charlottesville. I do want to talk about Mississippi State for a second because when they actually let me go back to here. They won it in 2021. That was the first year of uh, since they had resumed college baseball because of COVID. And Wuhan coronavirus is 222. Mississippi State equals 222. Yeah, and Chris Lemonis 144, like Jesuit order. Coronavirus was a big Jesuit ritual, so it's no surprise that they won it then. Moving on, in Tucson, Arizona Wildcats does equal 175, and the College World Series could finish on the 175th day of the year. And this is the last year of the Pac-12, so maybe they'll remember they won. Bill Walton died right after Arizona won the Pac-12 tournament. There could be something there. Another 77 team is North Carolina. I think they have the same record as Florida State, or the same number of wins at least. Yeah, and I already talked about LSU winning it last year. I don't think they have the numbers to do it this year. I mean, I don't think, but we'll see. I don't think it's 39 day. It's not 39 day numerology. In Lexington, the only thing I know about Kentucky is that I think Kentucky is the number 2 seed overall. Kentucky does equal 43. They have 40 wins right now, so I would imagine that Kentucky gets out of this regional. I mean, they're the favorite, so they're probably not worth a bet unless you maybe parlay them with another team. But yeah, Kentucky 43. They should get out of this regional, no problem. In my opinion, I think they are the number 2 seed overall. Corvallis, yeah, again, last year the Pac-12, they got to do something. And Oregon State equals 49. That's 7 times 7. As I said, this is the 77th 77th tournament. They do have 42 wins right now. Oregon State Beavers equals 211, the 47th prime. And just to show you on the bracket, if Oregon State and Kentucky just say Oregon State and Kentucky both make it out of their regionals, they would play each other in the super regionals. And with Oregon, assuming it takes only 3 wins for Oregon State to get out, then they'd be at 45. Then you just need 2 wins in the super regionals to get to 47, 211 the 47th prime. I wouldn't see them shocked. I wouldn't be shocked to see them get to the super regionals and then possibly knock off Kentucky there. Nicholls State, I mean, I don't really see them going anywhere, but they also got that 49 thing and 77. So maybe if you want to pick there's always a Cinderella team each year that goes far. Last year's Oral Roberts, I just talked about them. The year before was Ole Miss, and they ended up winning it all. A few years back, it was Michigan. Coastal Carolina was a team that did it. I'll talk about Coastal Carolina in a bit too. With this regional, I didn't really see anything. The only thing that stood out was that Gamecocks is 77. So, like, if you want to pick one team to advance out of this regional, perhaps South Carolina is the best bet, and they're probably not the favorite since they're the 2 seed. So that you might, if you pick them to get out of this region, that could be a decent payout, depending on how much you bet. In the Athens regional, nothing really stood out except Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. They're the 3 seed, and they equal 389, the 77th prime. If you do want to pick one team, here's another potential upset pick: Georgia Tech to get out of the regional, and they're definitely not the favorites because Georgia's pretty good, 39-15 overall record. And okay, here's another thing that I want to talk about. Clemson, their manager's name does equal 77. This is the 77th tournament, as I've mentioned multiple times. But Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is the number 2 seed in this region, or regional, I should say. They have the Illuminati numbers, and I've already talked about myself and others have already talked about all the Illuminati rituals going on in other sports this year, especially soccer, but also World Series, MLB World Series, that is. Because it's the 120th MLB World Series this year. And then their manager is Tim Corbin. His name equals 49, which is 7 times 7. And Clemson does have 41 wins on the year. Vanderbilt equals 44. Now, if you don't know how the regional double elimination system works, basically, if you lose one of your first 2 games, you're in a not so great position. If you lose your first game, you have to win 4 in a row to advance to the next round. If you win your first game and lose your second game, you have to win 3 in a row to advance to the next round. So if you go 1-1 in your first 2 games, you're going to need 4 wins to advance to the next round. That being said, so Clemson has 41 wins right now. Say they win their first game against High Point, but then lose their second game against Vanderbilt. But then they win their first elimination game against one of these teams, and then they'd win their second elimination game against Vanderbilt. That would put them at 44 wins, and then Vanderbilt maybe would beat them in that final game. That's just a scenario that I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I wouldn't be shocked that would happen because that would mean that Clemson would then get their 44th win of the season against Vanderbilt, and then their next game finish the season on 44 wins against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt Commodore is also 227 the 49th prime, which is 7 times 7. And yeah, the SEC always does well in these tournaments as of recent years. Actually, more than as of recent years, but SEC usually does well. So Vanderbilt, they're not a regional host. If you want to pick them to maybe at least get to Omaha, or maybe pick them to advance out of this regional, I think that's not a bad bet in my opinion. And Coastal Carolina equals 108. They won the College World Series back in 2016, and that was talking about the connections with MLB. That was the same year the Chicago Cubs broke their 108-year curse. Moving on, nothing really. Oklahoma State's manager is Matt Holliday's brother, interestingly enough. Nebraska, the only thing I saw about Nebraska is that Cornhuskers equals 36. And that 36-day numerology would be the first day of the College World Series finals of that final championship series. But I don't think that's really enough. And then with Niagara, Niagara is a small, I don't know if it's a college or university, but it's in Buffalo, or at least near Buffalo, near Niagara Falls, and they're called the Purple Eagles, and that just reminded me of how Niagara Falls lit up purple right after Prince's death. And they got the 180. This school, man. I mean, we're gonna take a look at Niagara University for a second, just because. Yeah, Catholic University. Here we go. Usually, yeah, Roman Catholic. Founded in 1856. Oh God. And then they have moved to its current location on 5/1, Illuminati. And that's the same day as the Illuminati was founded. Not the same year, but May 1st. And November 21st is what's significant about that date? It is, there's probably something more significant about that I can't think of right now. But yeah, I used to have this super long name. Niagara University. Yeah, and on the 79th Meridian West, Society of Jesus 79, 43rd parallel north, Society of Jesus 191, the 43rd prime. Yeah, and then you have this like super small university that like who went here? You have all these government people that went here. Yeah, so many of these people in power went to these Catholic or Jesuit institutions. And some of these small schools you've never even heard of. Like I think I've heard about this university because I like follow college basketball a little bit, but you know, the Purple Eagles. Let me just say Niagara Falls Purple. Yeah, here it is. Then you got the Niagara Purple Eagles. Mockery. Back to the notes. UCSB has 42 wins on the year. I expect them to get out of this regional with 45 wins. UCSB equals 45. San Diego, they are a Catholic school just like Niagara. I didn't really see anything that stood out for them. But Oregon, as I said, this is the last year of the Pac-12. I feel like they got to do something for the conference, and Ducks does equal 77. It was interesting. So I wouldn't be big on the Ducks for getting out of this region, but that is kind of something to think about. Yeah, and Fresno State won the College World Series back in the day, back in 2008. That was before they even had Aaron Judge. Next regional, College Station. I think this is the last one actually. College Station, Texas A&M. So the winner of the College Station regional will play the winner of the Santa Barbara regional. If it is UCSB versus Texas A&M, I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, I think I forgot what I was going to mention. But the only thing that is notable, also, this is just kind of mockery. So David Pierce, his name equals 201. I've talked about before how the Largest building on the campus of University of Texas is at 201 21st Street, and it's named after the only Texas governor to die in office who died at the age of 56. Like, come on. What are we doing here? But Texas Longhorns does equal 191, just like Society of Jesus. And as I mentioned before, the college baseball tournament could end on the day, leaving 191 days left in the year. A couple of years ago, Arch Manning. Jeez, he's that young. Wow. I can like at least kind of remember what I was doing in 2005. But anyways, it says they're committed on June 23rd, 2022. June 23rd. Yeah, 191 days left in the year. Texas Longhorns 191. Yep, these rituals are by the number. There's no coincidence that he committed on that date. Now, I do want to take a moment to look at some of the whoops, what's going on? I want to take a moment to look at some of the, for those who do want to bet, I do have some betting odds to show you. Give me just a moment. Okay. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, Oregon State should win this one. Fayetteville, Kansas State's plus 550. I mean, that wouldn't be, if that means if you bet $10, you would get back 55. Am I reading that right? No, $10. 10. Yeah, if you actually you would get back 65, so you'd win 55. So that would not be a bad bet there. Yeah, UCSB is even, which is kind of suspicious. There's the Tucson regional. Everyone um, is not really a clear favorite. I mean, even the favorite Arizona, they're still plus. Why are there only used to be a lot more? What happened? They get rid of a bunch of the futures? They had a lot more futures on here yesterday when I checked. I don't know what happened. I mean, they take them down because the tournament started, but I would find that hard to believe, but whatever. Yeah, they had a lot more futures on here. They had like futures for the whole thing. And maybe it'll reset after tonight. If I just did a College World Series futures. Let's look at DraftKings for a second. We don't want to look at. So now here we go. Oh, no, I don't want the individual games. Well, okay, I guess this is. So if you were to, at least, if I were to pick some teams to win it, I'd say Tennessee because they have that 77 connection. Um, Oregon State because they do have that connection there with 49. UNC and Florida State, they both have those 77 connections. I spent the most time talking about Florida State and Vanderbilt as well. Maybe a little bit on Arizona, but I'm not big on them. And also maybe a little bit on Texas. The only thing with Texas is that actually I do want to check the last time Texas won the College World Series. When did it end? It ended on June 26th. So that's another Jesuit day. That's the same day that Ole Miss won it just this past year, 177th day of the year. I believe Texas also won it in 2002. So when did yes, they did. And when was that was on June 22nd, which is 192nd day. There's not really a lot to go off of there for Texas. And also, I think with these futures, like you can put something down and then you can cash out if they get to a certain if they get to like if they make it to Omaha, you're probably the odds will you'll probably get a little bit of your money back if you do cash out before they're eliminated. Like if you wanted to, like we'll revisit this before the Super Regionals and before Omaha. Like if you wanted to put some down on, I don't know, like UNC, and then they make it to Omaha, but then you feel like they don't have a great riddle to win it, you could still cash out, and I would imagine you would at least get some of your money back. And you can, but the thing with futures, you can put money on like 5 teams, and if one of them comes out, then you still come out on top. Well, I shouldn't say you come out on top, but you come out with more money than you put in. Do just want to check what the scores are of some of these games right now. It's going to let me click on this. I have Indiana crushing Southern Miss. Evansville is upsetting East Carolina. Duke and UConn are playing each other. Florida State's crushing Stetson. Virginia up on Penn late in the game. Ooh, Wilford and LSU tied at 3 in the 9th. So over here, A&M up on Grambling early. Coastal's crushing Vanderbilt. Oh, they're good. Vanderbilt won't be eliminated with a loss, but they will be in a very tough position if they lose. And that would kind of destroy my thought about Clemson winning 3 games but losing to Vanderbilt. Ooh, and Army beating Georgia early on. James Madison beating South Carolina in the top of the second. And 10-6, wow, in the 6th inning. All right, I'm going to end it there. We'll catch back up on this after the regionals are over and see where things stand.